Hello, everyone. This is episode 63 of the Double Cross Anime Podcast. I'm Whooper.
And I am Mario.
So we've got what have we got? What are we talking about today?
Uh,
Episode
episode
5.
4.
Oh, is it 4? Of Vinland Saga and Fire Force.
Yep, that's right.
Episode 5 of Araboring, Kisetsu no Offmodel-domo yo. And episode 17 of Mix. And then the only thing that really matters is the next 5 episodes of Heidi, Girl of the Alps.
She's amazing.
She's cool.
Yep. She changed the heart of the people around her.
Yep. Yeah, that does seem to
See,
be the pattern that the show follows.
And she actually single-handed, she not directly but indirectly saved 2 human beings.
2 human beings.
Yeah, two guys.
Oh yeah.
Basically, 2 guys and a goat.
Right, and a goat. Yes.
So
And a
she's
bird.
amazing. Oh yes.
I can't remember. Was Peachy injured when she took it in?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
That's why she took it in.
Okay. Yeah, and don't forget that bird.
That
Anyway.
multiply into like hundreds of them. All right. Anyway,
All right, which of these 4 seasonal shows are we gonna argue about first?
all right. It's up to you, Matt.
Okay, let's do Vinland Saga, I guess.
All right. Wow, the last episode was really amazing. It blew me away basically.
Oh, a Vinland Saga.
Of Vinland Saga.
Okay, nice.
Uh,
It would seem that this episode brings the kind of the what would you call it, prologue of the series
closer to the prologue. That's right.
Yeah, at least this first, this miniature story telling what happens to Thor's and how Thorfinn gets set on his path.
That's make me not quite understand the decision to put the first 3 episodes in 1 week, because I think it could very well benefit from just like like double episode, like 2 episodes and then another 2, because I don't think it makes sense like this the whole prologue that have 4 episodes.
Yeah,
and they just show like 3.
Right. Well, I mean, there's the production schedule to consider. Maybe they just had the first 3 ready to go, and they were like, ship it.
Yeah,
You know.
maybe.
Yeah, although it is kind of weird that we had to wait like 3 weeks for the 4th and final episode, kind of
That's
this
right.
of this part of the story. But it was
Just
worth
judging
worth the wait.
All right, because I think judging from your early comment, I don't think that you are really that enthusiastic about this episode compared to me.
Just honestly, like, I'm not really feeling seasonal anime at the moment, so
All right,
that's more the case than me not really liking this episode. I mean, I thought this was easily the best of the 4 that we watched.
Right.
Not the best of the 4 episodes of Vinland Saga, but the best of the 4 episodes that we're going to talk about, over the next hour or so.
All right. Let me just start with the narrative. The narrative is predictable, so like basically we know how that would end. We know that Thor gonna be died. Just the way he would die will become like important. So like the way it's tell the story, and I'm glad with what we have.
Yeah. He certainly goes out, a hero.
Yep.
So much so that even Askeladd is kind of forced to respect him.
That's right. Askeladd is the element of surprise for me. He go through a lot, and we read some of his personalities based on just the fight between him and Thor alone. So like in this episode, like even like his clans, the way he look at Thor, the way he see everything. Tell me a lot about his characters.
Right. He definitely has a. I mean, he's a sadist, and he is he plays dirty. He's
Mm-hmm.
he's not a big believer in morality or chivalry or any sort of like code of conduct, but he does respect strength, power,
Mm-hmm.
and character.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
Thor's has all those. So when he invites him to be their leader, which was
Yep.
probably the most striking moment of the episode for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a tactic, to get him to lower his guard, because that's just the kind of guy that Askeladd is. Like he wants to win. He needs to do his job. His job is to get this guy's head. But beneath that, you can sense something else, like some meaning that he's found in this exchange, which is why I think at the end he allows Thorfinn to live.
Right. I think he did actually mean it when he said that. So my take is that it's just like the plug of the moment for him, because he's acknowledged Thor's strength, and he just wants to be like serve under Thor's, because like when fighting with Thor, like the idea of what is the true hero, was it the knight, the true knight, just I think just appear back to him again, to Askeladd again. So he struggled between being like a true hero and getting the job done, even if he had to do it dirty. So yeah, I think there's a lot going on with Askeladd in these episodes.
Well, I don't think he's tempted to become a hero or like a beacon of goodness or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to be a hero either, but he inspired by Thor actions.
Yeah, I think he's definitely struck by him, which is interesting. Like I would really like to know what Askeladd did before this, before he became like a pirate captain. Is pirate the right word to use? I think they're referred to multiple times as pirates. Maybe mercenaries.
Viking?
They're mercenaries. No, they're not.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a Viking.
All right.
I don't think so.
Mm.
I don't think he's any sort of warrior or explorer or anything like that. I think he just, he is a mercenary. That's how Floki approaches him. Hey, I need you to do this job for me. Here's, 5 pounds of gold. And Askeladd says, make it 5 more and you got a deal. It's not, there's no...
Yep.
There's no real code
So like...
to his actions.
Yep.
He's making a
Oh,
living.
Yep. I think that's a good word, code, because I think Askeladd had been like driving his life without any code. Like he used his own set of code in order to not like the hero code, by the way, but like when he fight Thor, he is reminded of those those code.
Yeah,
And I think that
Thor's like overpowers him, so I think he respects his strength, because Askeladd is he relies more on tricks, strategy, I suppose. Like when he cuts down the, I don't know any sailing terminology, so but he cuts a rope, and like the part of the mast comes like crashing down. And he uses that opportunity to strike. But after that, Thor just completely overpowers him. and he's still in the end he dies, because he's vulnerable. He has the quote unquote weakness of family.
Yep. I think the episode make it clear that if Thor is alone in that fight, he will able to make it. But because he have like all of these other people and his sons there, so he not gonna get away with that. And I think he know that as well.
Yeah, he does like knock out 30 dudes just punching them
Without killing them.
Yeah.
Yep.
One hit and they all go down. I thought that was kind of ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's like the same level of gut in
yes.
In Berserk.
Yeah, I think there's a clear line to be drawn between Thor's and Guts.
Yep.
Berserk probably a big influence on Vinland Saga. But now that Thor's is out of the picture, the Guts character is dead, and
Yep.
what remains, like Thorfinn still echoes Guts, because Guts is, after a certain point in the story, Guts becomes obsessed with revenge.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And that's what lingers, in Vinland Saga, because Thorfinn has inherited that part of his character.
Yep.
But the raw strength is missing, which honestly, that makes for an even more interesting story to me, because Guts has both the strength necessary,
Yep.
like he has the desire for revenge, and he has the strength to carry it out.
Yep.
The obstacle is that his foe is just like there are supernatural obstacles in Berserk, whereas Vinland Saga stars a character who has that burning desire for revenge, but who doesn't have the strength.
That's right.
To carry it out. So there's like even more potential there for just, grief, heartache, rage, all that good stuff.
Right. The thirst for killing, the thirst for revenge, all that good stuff.
Right. Well, that's what's going to drive the story, like from now on. Honestly, maybe not to the end. I am not familiar with the Vinland Saga manga. I know that it's a long runner, But for the foreseeable future, it's going to be about killing Askeladd.
Yep. I do think that Thor is a really good character, and I wouldn't mind seeing to see him, like as a main character in any given story. But by having Thorfinn as like the main characters of this Vinland Saga, I think that's a trickier that is like the harder story, the harder story to tell. So but trickier as well, and I hope that the show gonna do that justice. He's more complex character for me compared to Thor.
Yeah, he's still in development,
Yep.
Thor's was he represented, pacifism,
An idea,
strength, family.
Mm-hmm.
So he was meant to represent those qualities and then die.
Yep.
So he by dying, those ideas, those those are the sorts of things that you ought to aspire to, let's say. So by killing him off, the series obscures those things from its main character. And so now Thorfinn, over the course of his life, is going to have to work his way back to valuing the things that his father did. If he, so the question is, can he ever make it back there? That's an even bigger question than will he get his revenge?
Yep, that's right.
Will he ever understand? Will he ever remember that he has no enemies, and there's no one who it's okay to hurt, as his dad said?
I his dad also say one of these things about the true hero doesn't need a sword. I think
Right.
that's what he said.
Yeah.
And Thorfinn clearly struggled
Yeah.
with that saying. So yeah, I think like for the course of the whole journey, he gonna have to learn that.
Yep. I don't if this is a two core show, I don't know if we have time
No, I don't think
for
so.
him to come that far, but I'm interested to see, how
Yep.
far they go. They can go
All
in that
right.
time.
From what I heard, though, the next episode, so episode 5, gonna be anime original. How do you think about that? How do you take
I
on that?
I mean, I don't know the manga, so I won't
Oh.
I won't know
Yep.
the difference. I mean, I'll assume based on the fact that we've seen Thor's death that
Yep.
the anime original stuff is going to bridge the gap between his childhood and his teenage years.
Yep.
Um, so I,
Yep.
I guess I mean
I think.
given the way that they've laid things out by like moving this stuff to the front
Yep.
rather than using it as a flashback in the middle,
Mhm.
might be a good idea to bridge the gap. Like if we're moving chronologically already, you
Yep.
might need to
Yep.
fill in some blanks that would otherwise stick out.
Yep.
So
Well, I
I think
agree.
I think it could work out.
Yep. All right. So yes, this is a really good episode for me. Even like an exceptional one. Hopefully the rest of the show gonna be like that, because I have the same feeling of these 4 episodes, the prologue to the OVA, the 3 episode OVA of
Mahotsukai no
uh
Yome.
yeah, that's right. That was amazing. The OVA was amazing, but the series itself, it just doesn't really have that spark anymore.
Well, I think the series just treaded water in circles for too long.
Mahou Cash, that's all. Yep.
Yeah, the main girl just she kept falling into the water and
Yep.
needing to be rescued and all that.
Yep.
Just got tiresome. But I don't think Vinland Saga is going to have that problem at all. Like we're clearly headed in a direction here.
Yeah. Hopefully hopefully it's act. It's not like repeating the circles.
No, I can't imagine that it would be.
Right. That's good.
All right.
All right.
What about
Should we move on to
another
the next
show?
one? Yep. All right. Which one you want to discuss next?
Oh, I don't know. I kind of want to complain about Araburu Kisetsu no Otome-domo yo.
All right. So we can do that. Complain.
All right. This episode looked like doo-doo.
Oh my God. It's so off. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look gorgeous at all.
No.
Is it
No, it
is it
doesn't.
noticeable bad?
It was terrible, dude. One of the worst looking
Right.
anime episodes I've seen this year.
Oh right.
I
Yeah,
mean, it
it
might be the worst, to be honest. I mean, you've seen
Oh,
Copcraft episode 3, so
that's right. That's
yeah.
right.
I haven't seen that, but apparently that's like legendarily bad. But I thought this one was like really. It's such a shame because I've read a bit of the manga and the characters are like so. I don't know,
Attractive.
their design, well, no, I wouldn't use that word, but their designs are just so exuberant and impactful. And
Yep.
their faces look like they were half melted
Yep.
much of the time in this episode.
And this is the show that rely most on the characters' expressions.
Yeah.
So by having that, the off model looking melted, it just doesn't do the character justice. I remember like I remember like the conversation between the the mysterious girl
Sugawara.
Sugawara, and Izumi the boy
Yeah, on the train.
on the train. Yeah, and they just look off model,
Yeah, though I
and
mean,
that's about to and that's about to be like the moment where you see their reactions to their chemistry together, and they just off.
yeah, I mean the whole episode suffered from this problem.
Yep. All right. How about the story?
Eh, I didn't really care. Like the whole time, I was just so distracted and taken aback by how ugly it looked that I was like, you know, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what's happening to them. Like especially the stuff with Hongo,
All right.
the novelist girl.
Yep.
Her deal with the teacher, I am not interested at all.
All right. I happen to prefer that Hongo story the most.
Yep.
I enjoy that the
So
most.
I lost you for a second there. Oh, you like that? You like that the most? Okay.
Yeah, I enjoy that the most. I think
It
because
just seems stapled on to everything else.
all right,
I don't get it. All right. So yeah, sorry. Why was that your favorite?
because like we mentioned in last few weeks, this is the story that the girl trying to um make sense of their sexual life, and try to differentiate between their feeling for the others, and their sexual desire. This one is put the sexual desire, the Hongo's plot. It put the sexual desire into like another extreme. So it's not about it's not about those things I just said, but it's more about like she want to experience sex because she think that it make her mature. And
Right.
I think that is a really good angle to explore.
Eh. I don't know. Like. So why is she doing the thing she's doing? It's because I mean what motivated her at the outset was
All
the
right.
desire to like bone up on um like
It
erotic terminology, I guess, because she's writing this
it
book.
is all right. It's based on two things. First, she want to grow up like she want to experience that she mature like any other girls, and second, she want to have the sexual experience for her writing.
Right.
And because he doesn't have any experience, and because he sound like a 40 years old man, so she want to actually experience the sexual drive in order to write about that.
Right.
So that get us into this episode where she trying to flash her panties because I think she feel exciting about that.
Yeah, well the teacher in that chat room also says to her,
Said
why
that.
don't you try
Yep.
it? LOL. Uh
Yep.
but yeah. I'm not like I don't think anything of her as a character.
Yep.
Most of like the entire um like what kickstarted all this was her like alone in a dark room, looking at a computer screen, and then she sees the teacher at the meeting place when she agrees to meet up with the guy.
Yep.
So at this point she's like pursuing him, um, but that's not that interesting to me. Like I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe part of it has to do with the fact that the teacher is so boring.
All right. All right.
I I, I don't
Yep.
know, dude. Honestly, I just feel as though am I don't really have no character is serving as an anchor for me.
Right.
Because they all look like they're wax figures who or not kept in a cool environment. You know, somebody left
All
the
right.
oven on.
All right. How do you take about Sugawara's backstories
That was
with the man,
horrifying.
with the omen? That is horrifying. I because Izumi's reaction is that, you know, like, oh my god, the story creeped me out.
Yeah. Well, it would creep me out too. Like, you know,
Right.
and of course the Japanese word is dorikon, but
Yep.
it's translated as pedophile. I think like sometimes that's not really an appropriate translation, but in this case, it most certainly is. The dude is
All
just
right.
straight up. He's a straight up pedo, whatever.
All right. I make a clear distinction though. Like, pedo is more like a sexual desire, and this guy, he doesn't have that sexual desire
Dude,
to Sugawara.
don't say that. Don't say that.
All right.
The way that he was like rubbing his face on her leg?
Yep.
No. He's
All right.
he's a future criminal. Um, he's gonna be on.
Right.
He's gonna get himself on a list.
Yeah.
But with the perhaps the worst part of it all is that she is like I think she's attracted to him.
Yep. Yep.
You know, you can kind of tell because like Izumi, when she says that's something like really cruel or cold-hearted, I can't remember exactly what she says, but she says that if a man says that he's not interested in sleeping with a woman, that can be like extremely hurtful, you know. And Izumi realizes as she says that's how she
Yep.
was hurt.
Yep.
So the really twisted part is that she is like into this older man who,
See.
you know, was was super inappropriate with her when she was younger.
All right. She was the one who actually allowed him to touch her
Yeah,
in one
that's
of
true.
the flashback. Yep. So yes, she has, all right. She have sexual attracted to him, sexually attracted to him. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, the fault for this situation is entirely his, like 100%.
Right.
She was a 14-year-old kid. Like when they met, she was what, 10 or 11, and now, in that flashback that you're referencing, she was 14. That is not the sort of age where you can consent to
Yep.
any sort of sexual activity. With an, you know, probably not even with people your own age, but definitely not with someone who's older. So the fact that he like would go out alone with her to restaurants and things, as she tells Izumi, is super inappropriate and gross.
All right.
You know, but putting aside the ethics of it, the situation now is, like she tugs on Izumi's arm and she's like, get off the train here, because she wants the guy to assume this is her boyfriend, which he immediately does. And he acts totally unfazed. So her plan failed, I suppose.
Yep.
But dude, like I don't know. It is an interesting story. Like that was the point of the episode where I was most attentive during those scenes, because I was like, wow, something's really happening here. This is off-putting, and you know, it does make you interested. Like how did the situation arise? How will it progress? Nevertheless, like I don't really have a desire to see more.
All right. There are two more characters. There are three more characters actually.
Yeah,
how
but
do you take on?
They don't matter.
How do you take on the president's stories?
I thought that could have been really cute if it happened, you know, at the end of an episode where I was less bored.
All right, I
Like the way
was
that she
so
wrote
not.
on the last page. You know,
Yep.
I
I was.
go ahead.
I just. I didn't. I wasn't invested in that story at all. She's
Yeah,
just too loud for me.
she's too loud.
She's too loud. She's screaming all the time.
Yeah. Well, she's like acting hysterically embarrassed. Um,
Yep.
you know, and that's part of the whole culture, I guess, is that you gotta be you gotta have you gotta have the girls acting like embarrassed, you know, so that you know that they're chaste. Um, like moving outside of the story of Araburu and into, like, you know, thinking about it in terms of its construction. Um,
Yep.
you can't have, like, or perhaps the Japanese perspective is you can't have all these girls like aggressively um, going after guys or like discovering their sexuality very quickly and coming to terms with it. Like it has to be some sort of, you know, ordeal or like big journey. This is not a scum's wish.
Yep.
So,
Even in Scum Wish, they have like a lot of journeys.
yeah, but most of them involve like sleeping around.
Yeah,
I would
I think
honestly prefer that to this so far.
yeah, I think the journey of Scum Wish is more like after they get together, after they sleep around, how they feel, basically how they feel, how empty they feel.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I was really into that show at first because of that, but then
Yep.
things happened. But
A lot
anyway,
of things happen.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't even want to talk about like Momoko and Kazusa, what's going on with them, because it's just boring. Like
I
she's
don't
pissed
remember.
that a guy
I don't.
keeps talking about saving her 200 yen, which is like $2.
Yep.
Uh,
Well. When you are 14 years old, $2 is actually matters.
I guess.
I don't remember much of the story about Kazu-san this week though. Oh right,
She
she
sees Izumi
saw.
put his fingers into a bowling ball and got really embarrassed. That was
Oh right.
that's the main thing. My main takeaway.
Yep. Yeah, she talked with Izumi like normal. So like it's the first time they actually acting normal since the event happened in the first episodes. Um, Now Izumi know that she have a feeling for him. Oh my god, Whooper. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'm just
let's see
disappointed
how.
overall.
All right.
Like
I'm still alright with the show.
I don't really want to watch any more of it. I mean, I will, but
Yep.
all my interest is gone. Looks ugly.
That's
Don't like most of the characters. You know. So this show's meltdown. First of all, it could have just been like, you know, an outsourced episode, and we'll go back to normal next time, or, you know, whatever. I mean, this doesn't have to be the new normal.
Yep.
Let's say that it is, and this is like an Orange situation. Now I would rather just stop watching this and rewatch Orange to see how I feel about it, because I have good memories of watching that show. So I would like, you know, I'd like to see how turned off I am by whatever sort of train wreck happened production wise
All right.
in that series.
It looked like this.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So
Well, I mean,
That
but
not-
was it that, like, was the background art? Did you notice the filter, like the filter on the screen in this episode?
yeah, but it didn't really pull me away from the story
Okay.
that much.
It definitely, like in the past episode, I said that it was like the character's hair. It was applied to their hair specifically, but in this one, I noticed it all over. Like it's not pasted on top of every scene, but there are some scenes where it is like occupying the whole screen. And I think the reason I noticed it on the hair first is because that's like just a large mass of a consistent color where you can notice,
Yep.
you know, like variances. But it's not just the hair, like it's all over the place. And I mean, what else did I expect from Studio Le Duce or whatever, however you say the studio's name? Have they ever produced a good looking show like even one time? I don't think so.
No. Yep. Nothing come to mind. All right, we can move on to the next one.
All right, let's do that.
Yeah, let's go with Fire Force.
Okay. What was up with this episode of Fire Force?
Oh my god, I still had trouble with the narration of Fire Force. Every episode of Fire Force.
The narration?
Yeah, it just the pacing basically. It just move around so awkwardly.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but I'm kind of into it, strangely enough.
All right.
Like I'm kind of interested in the, you know, the gaps in conversations, in dialogue, just the general weirdness of the show as well. I don't know what it is about it really, but I mean, maybe I just appreciate the fact that it's different. It's a shonen series, but it's different. Like there, for example, there was I can't remember the context exactly. It was near the end of the episode, and it was raining. It was raining like really hard. And then I think the shot that was on screen was like it was some sort of pipe or faucet, something like that. And then all of a sudden, I mean, we hold on the faucet, but then immediately like the rain disappears. Like in a split second, it doesn't even like slow down. The rain just stops, and all of a sudden it's sunset. It was a really like startling decision. And I don't remember the context at all. Like I don't know why they would have made that choice because I can't recall what was going on. But like when I saw it, I was like, oh, we've moved on. It's time for a new scene now. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of cool.
All right.
I wish I remembered more about it, but like
All
it makes me like wake up out of my seasonal anime stupor when I see something like that, I guess. How'd you feel about the opening episode, the fifth division, with like the dominatrix type of?
Oh my
woman?
god! It just so sexist. It just so anime, you know. But alright, I can still, you know, I can say alright to watch those. But yeah, for me the pacing is like how the story progress, how the story portrays and develop, and then ending. It just too awkwardly put for me. Like in this episode, we have like a guy. That guy who used to be a firefighter as well.
Yeah, the
We
guy on
just
trial
learned
for
about
murder.
him. Yep. We just heard about him, and then the next thing we know, he's in he in like a current trial, and then the next thing we know, he already get possessed, turned into
Infernal.
Inferno. So it's in the span of, you know, like 40 seconds. It's not even a minute. So like it just everything happens so quickly, and we don't even know about this guy. We just heard about this guy, and then he turned into some badass with concerts. So yeah, I still struggle to follow many of these things. Apart from that, though, the production is really good. I really like the use of the color, the use of the background designs is amazing.
Yeah, like when you say background design, might you be talking about like the shots of the city with all the different colored
Yeah,
houses lined up and like the really narrow streets? kind of looking
That's right.
like an early 1900s New York, something like that.
That's right,
That's what I'm
and
thinking of. Anyway.
it's strong. It's dominantly in red and I think green colors, which is look really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it does. That was actually my number one concern, I guess, going into
Concern. All
the
right.
adaptation. I was wondering if they were going to be
Yep.
able to bring the city, because I had read the first volume of the manga, and
Mhm.
the city, like in particular, I already knew from the PV that the combat was going to look cool and that the
Yep.
fire was going to look cool. But would they be able to get the backgrounds right? Might
Yep.
they just focused on like interior scenes in order to make up for that? I guess, I mean, the answer is no.
Yep.
And they're doing a pretty good job of it.
Mm-hmm. So what do I take from that girl? Nah, she's not a good character at all.
Oh yeah,
I don't. I
yeah.
still. I don't see there's a reason why she keep him alive. She said that's for test purpose, but I think he gonna jailbreak anytime soon.
Well, I can't.
With
To be
the
honest, this was the last thing I watched last night before I went to bed. So, I
right.
what is the fate of the Infernal? Like, who he's not extinguished, right? They do capture him.
They capture him alive. They want him alive in order for them to test him because he's like the what they call the precious subject right now
Right, because
because
he's conscious.
he's because he conscious. So yes, but I think like the and we also learned that um the smoke, is it not the smoke, the thing that
The ash,
that
right?
the acid the Joker used last time were from the ashes of the Inferno.
Right. Yeah. I
and and
mean,
and
go ahead.
yep. Oh, I just said that this guy seemed to be turned into Inferno by the same source, I think.
Oh,
Not really
I
sure,
didn't
but
see any sort of ash in that scene where he
yeah,
transforms.
yeah.
Maybe,
Well,
maybe I just missed it. I mean, certainly the fact that he's gained consciousness. I mean, somebody is meddling. It didn't. I
mhm,
doubt that it just
yep,
happened, and I doubt that
yep, yep.
spontaneous human combustion is actually spontaneous. Like, there's some greater mystery to the show, which is why all the different divisions of the special fire company, like they all have different
Mm,
goals and different associations with major organizations that are like backing them and pulling their strings. There is some greater
yep.
mystery here. Um, and I don't think the show is approaching that from the correct angle.
Mhm,
Um, I think it should have been a little longer, perhaps, before we were clued into that fact, and we should have done a little bit more character building before we got to the quote unquote rookie games. And I think that should have been
mhm.
an actual, miniature arc instead of just one episode. And I think that the introduction of different, different companies,
Divisions.
different divisions, should be like perhaps a little bit less quirky. Like
Mhm,
perhaps I would prefer a more serious approach to the politics and the intrigue of of the Fire Force. Um,
I actually,
all that
I
being
actually,
said, I
right.
thought the
Yep.
opening scene was like I watched it twice
All
because
right.
I mean it. There were two reasons for that. The first one was I was kind of like, what the hell did I just watch? So I wanted to watch it again because I thought that I missed some stuff, missed some dialogue. But there was also like an entertainment value for me in seeing her like step over, or not over, step on all the guys who were like making a path for her with their backs,
All
and
right.
they were all saying like "ow, ow" as she was. It's just so, like the show is so strange. Um,
Okay. Remember first, she might step on the guys, but like when later on we see like in her company, in her division, they have like many girls as well. So maybe she steps on some of the girls as well.
right, it is
Not really
2019.
sure.
We don't only step on men. We gotta. or
Right,
equal
right, right.
equal opportunity sadism.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. There were like the three angels of Division 5
Right. Oh my
wearing
god.
the glasses and the like the leather cat suits, if I remember correctly, with the blonde hair. Like they're probably going to be, like an enemy in some future episode that Division 8 has to defeat or something. I don't know. It's
I
all a bit
I
jumbled.
yeah, I will just say that the on the fan service feel really old school. Feel like 15 years ago or 20 years ago. And it's kind of refreshing to see it again now, like in 2019. On the joke about how,
Eh,
yeah, about all these.
I kind of know what you mean. Like the I don't know. The what happened in the previous episode, like the way that what's her face was introduced, I thought
Yep, the
that
cat.
also
The,
felt kind of old school, but that wasn't necessarily the what I was looking for in terms of like the introduction of an important character.
yeah,
Um, but I think that if you're gonna go that route, you need to play it up a little more than just oops, boing, look what happened. You
all
gotta you
right,
gotta set the stage, which I think is what they did with the the opening scene
all
in
right.
this
I
episode.
To be fair though, I think the first four episodes of Fire Force it doesn't play the formula that I thought it would be. I thought that it would do the like monster of the week formula.
Yeah, I
So
think I would have
getting,
preferred that. Maybe.
yeah, that's right. But it goes like, it's go dark. It goes like more politic, and it goes like all over the places. So yeah, it kind of good and bad at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm thinking just like what on earth could happen in the next episode. Is there
That's
any way,
right.
based on what we've seen so far, is there any way to tell?
No, no, no. And I just know that the title for the next episode is The Battle Begins. So there is no way to tell
I mean,
at all
you
which
could
battle.
probably apply that title to like 25% of all shonen
That's right.
episodes. The battle
I, I, I,
begins.
even you can apply that to Araburu. The Battle Begins.
Yeah, and mix. I mean,
Oh,
the battle begins.
oh, that's right. All
So
right, we
we
can
can
get to mix
talk
now.
about mix.
Yep,
All right.
yep. Let's talk
Yeah,
about mix.
that was intended as a segue.
Yep.
Uh, the battle begins indeed. The battle for Haruka's heart.
That's right. That's that's the best part actually in this episode for me, when Sho and Haruka having like a bickering at each other.
Right when they're scouting out Seinan, but
Uh,
they end up being
yep,
late. Like, did you
that's
think
right.
there was any haste on the show's part in like the placement of that scene in the episode? I kind of felt as though it came from nowhere. Like we don't see the coach ask them to go do this. It's not even the very
Oh
first scene in the episode, from what I remember. Like it comes up right after the credits, but it's not what leads
no,
into the episode. That's like Nishimura pitching.
I understand what you mean, but I think I like the idea of, like, we don't know what they were doing at first, until like we they get into the stadiums, and we know that they go scouting. So I like that idea
I mean,
personally.
I think that's fine. The two of them, kind of hanging out, being in the same place, having a conversation, whatever you want to call it, and us not knowing what the purpose is. But like I don't know, maybe I would have preferred for the episode to open that way.
Mhm.
Kind of like with the introduction of the episode, also introduce us to this new dynamic between two characters, because we haven't really seen them talk that much.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
it just kind of seems inserted in the wrong place to me. That's a feeling that I got. I mean, I think it's really cool, the
Mhm.
idea that they're both together and that So is like clearly interested, and Haruka is like she does not get along with him at all.
Yep.
Um, I'm like I'm into that, but I don't know, just something about it where it was in the episode, how it happened. I don't know. Like I wasn't entirely pleased with
Right.
what I watched.
Yep. I understand what you mean. I do don't really enjoy all these, like exchanges and conversations, especially when later on when show asking Haruka father about how he think that how he wished for the team would end up being, and he said like quarterfinal, and he said like I am too what did he say?
Didn't he say like they're not? How can she be his daughter, or how can he be her
Yeah,
father?
that's
You know,
right.
they're too different.
Uh, they're too different, and then we get like the same response. Like we get to Toma respond, and it's the same, just the same as Haruka's.
Yeah.
So they are indeed like the same personality, and that also remind me of Cross Game. So I don't know if Toma and Haruka gonna be together, but they make a good team.
Yeah, no, they're not going to be together. I mean, it's
Uh,
going to be Toma and Otomi. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. However,
uh,
we won't get there. Not in 24
yeah,
episodes or I think 26 is what we're looking at. Um,
yep,
we won't get there in that time.
yep,
Uh, dude, I do really like that Haruka is just so cross with him, with
yep,
Soichiro. And everyone else, like, upon seeing that, everyone else is like, "Wow, there's there's a woman out there who exists who is not head over
yep,
heels for this guy." Um,
yep.
I think that's really funny.
Yeah,
Taking a
that's
sip
nice.
there.
Yeah, taking a sip. Um, for Otomi's for let's just say for Otomi's fight, um let's just say, remember the girl who always fight with Otomi?
Arisa.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I just I still don't understand why they put too much emphasis on that story.
Yeah, I wrote down as I was watching, words can't express how little I care about Arisa getting the highest score on a test.
Well,
I just don't
I
care
I
there.
I I still like her character for a bit, but not as much as, like I need to see her like every single week. Taking up like a point of time that should be spent on the four main characters.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I mean, maybe it's a sign that we're gonna enter the second year of high school sooner rather than later. Like maybe the Otomi Arisa um, Rio love triangle is gonna get wrapped up soon. That's why we're seeing so
Uh,
much of them, and the love triangle is gonna get wrapped up, and then we're gonna segue into the next year, something like that.
maybe. Nevertheless, though, I think that the main focus gonna be next year, not this year. So when that kid in the middle school gonna join them as well,
Right.
and when
What's
Otome
his face
gonna get into high school
with the
as well.
short hair?
Yeah, the bald head guy. I don't remember his name.
It's like I don't know. It starts with an N, I think, or something.
Yep.
I always forget. I'm not really concerned about it. He's
Right.
clear. He's clearly designed as like the losing character.
Yep.
He's just gonna be the butt of. He's gonna be the butt of the jokes.
Mm,
Uh,
nah.
Man, I really do wish that Soichiro and Haruko scene had been like to my liking because I like the concept of it so much.
Yep.
And he even like this is something that we learned about him the last time that they talked. Um,
Yep.
I can't remember. It was like she had made a bunch of notes like scouting.
Yep.
She had put together like a binder practically. She tries to show it to Toma. He's like, just show it to Soichiro. I'm sleepy. And then so like flips through it really fast, and he's like, got it. And she's peeved at both of them. But Soichiro makes some sort of pass at her. I can't remember what it was exactly.
He Soichiro. Someone just mentioned to Haruka at that time that Soichiro gonna remember all of that just by glancing at it.
Right.
So afterwards, Soichiro approached her to to ask for a detail that he missed.
Right, but before that, when she came over to his desk, there was something that he said to her
Yeah.
that like clearly indicated his interest in her. And now
All
from what I remember, it was pretty smooth. Like I can't remember what it was exactly, but
right. I don't remember either.
it's the sort of thing that a woman would definitely like pick up on. And in this episode too, he says that but they say that couples, the best couples have opposite personalities, and she turns around as she's walking up the steps and says, "Why do you have to bring couples into this?"
That's right.
So she knows that he likes her.
Yes.
But she can't just play it off. She's like angry about it. I would like to see I would like to see more from her, to get a clearer picture of like, not only who she is but how she's feeling about being the manager.
Yep.
And like how things stand between she and Toma.
All right, two things. I do think that she aware of Soichiro having a feeling for her, and second, I can't understand why she's so pissed off when he mentioned about that, because she was so into baseball at that time. So she was into like our team gonna win this, and so just talking about some couple and stuff. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, I
So
guess
yes,
she's mad that he doesn't have any faith in their team. But I mean, personally, I would side with him just in that part of the discussion.
Yep.
Perhaps I mean it's probably because I didn't get that into sports. Like I played soccer for a couple years. I played basketball for a couple years, but I didn't get really. I wasn't an athlete, And athletes probably need to have that mindset. Like they ought to be striving for first place, or for success in general. He's looking at it realistically. That's the way I would look at it. But she, she's not about that. She just prefers a more. But that's the thing. Like her dad also, and I don't. We see her mom in this episode on TV.
That's right. That's right.
But I kind of get the sense that her mom too would be like, be realistic about this.
Nah, I think that's the thing I find really interesting, because I think her dad is really into baseball, but isn't really that competitiveness compared to his daughter and the wife and the ex-wife, because I think Haruka mother is more competitiveness, as we see how she struck down the one of the thief the other day.
But doesn't the thief, yeah. I thought you were going to talk about what she said on TV in this episode.
No, but what she says, but she doesn't care about baseball. Doesn't mean that she isn't competitive. So I do think that Haruka get that from her mom, not from her dad.
Well, doesn't she say to Mr. A on TV, which is clearly a reference to Adachi, and she's talking about baseball manga.
Yep.
Doesn't she say to him like? I mean, honestly, I don't even remember that clearly what she says to him, but it's something along the lines of like, you might not succeed, you know, and like, what does it matter? You might not have the talent, or am I just totally misremembering, or wasn't it something along those lines? Like she was kind of striking
I
down his dream of writing a baseball manga.
Yeah, I just remember she was um she will criticize something, but I don't remember exactly the context. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, when the show tends to get this cute with its like fourth wall
Yep.
playfulness,
Breaking. Yep.
sometimes I'm just like, let's move on. I haven't seen Touch. Maybe I'm just tuning out because I haven't seen Touch and I don't want to be spoiled. I don't know.
Mhm.
In
All
any
right.
case, yeah,
In any case, I really like the four characters. Really love the main characters. Don't care much about what's surrounding them, like Otome's stories.
well, she's
Baseball,
one of the main characters.
I mean like Otome backstory. So like her competitiveness with the other girl.
Well, Otomi's not that competitive. She
Yeah,
gets second
well,
place and she's just like, oh, cool.
all right. Yep. I all right. That story and baseball. I can leave it or take it for now.
Yeah, I don't really care that much about this game, you know. Of course, Toma is going to remind the super old coach of Tatsuya from Touch.
Yep.
You know, I'm thinking in my mind, big deal. You know, what else is new?
If even though they're not actually related, right?
Well,
They're
no,
not.
they're not. But the guy who Toma reminded him of, Tatsuya, is not blood related to any of the characters.
Oh, is it? All right.
Yeah,
I thought it.
Tatsuya, the main character from Touch, was from the year that they like won the Koshien. The like Soichiro's dad was after, he came after that.
All right.
That
Right.
was like in the following year, and his dream, he got injured, so they were trying to make it back to the Koshien.
Huh.
This
All
was
right. I got that.
after Tatsuya had already left, I guess. Um, so it's different, you know. That's why sometimes in the show you hear the narrator say something like 26 years instead of 30. They're trying to
Mhm.
differentiate between those two time periods.
Huh. All right. So like in touch they have like two time periods
No,
basically.
it's just the one, but you know, Mix
Huh.
is trying to elaborate on the fact that more time has passed since then. It's not just 30 years ago and now. You know, there was also, you know,
Yep.
time in between, and there were pitchers and players in between.
Yep.
That's who Soichiro's dad is. He comes from after.
Right. Got that. Got that. Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
nevertheless, I think what the old coach sees is that Toma, like just his form and his pitching ability, reminds him of Tatsuya, the main character from Touch.
Mhm.
Like they're both similarly really good.
Yep. Big
Uh,
deal.
yeah. It's just, you know, it's gonna be. I did kind of like the VCR. You know how sometimes the show will use the VCR transition effect to go from one scene to the next with the scan
Yeah. Yeah.
lines
Yeah.
and everything. I did
Yep.
like
Yep.
the application of that effect in like the way that the distance between Toma and Tatsuya 30 years ago guy was like blurred. Like how it
Yep.
was applied specifically to his character when he was on the mound. Thought that was
Yep.
kind of neat.
Yep. Mhm. Agree. All right. Should we head on to Heady?
Okay. If you're okay with me crying in the middle.
All right. Yeah. Heady was really good in the last 5 episodes. I don't think that Heady never been bad. These 15 episodes and it's still really solid.
Yep. Yep. She's still
And
like a little ball of ball of fire.
Yep.
You know, she tries to stop the hunters from killing a fawn in one episode, and then she's like, "We won't lose to you in a sled race." In the next episode, she bites the goat herd in the episode after that when he's fighting with Peter.
Yep.
She
then she said for goat afterward.
Yes. Yeah, she does not. She is stubborn. I mean, several characters in these episodes make reference of the fact that, you know, because they all think that that grandfather, that Almonji is crazy, you know, and he's like just like a stubborn old man who may have lost his marbles. They all assume that the same is true of her, which is completely unfair and terrible. Nevertheless, she does have a stubborn streak. So you sense that there is a connection, like a relationship between the two of them. Like they share that trait, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Like maybe it's a family trait, that stubbornness. Even Dete, her aunt, who takes her to the mountains, you know, takes her to live with her grandfather. She stubbornly like refuses to hear people criticize her for that. She's like, I need to get, like, I've gotten a job offer. I need to move on. I need to pursue this job. I need money. So perhaps they're just a stubborn bunch.
I do think that she sometimes she can be stubborn. She can, you know, that even though people tell her don't do that, she still does it because she thinks she can. I think the point have made many times as well. So basically, I think that sometimes she need to be, you know, learn the consequences of what she does in order for her to understand and not doing that again. So in this episode, in this 5 episodes, we got like several times where she goes against others' comment and get herself in dangerous situations.
Yeah, she nearly dies.
Yeah, she nearly
died multiple times. There's the time when she's, you know, slips off the mountain, and Joseph, Yosef, the dog, he saves her. But there's also the time when she is almost caught in that like avalanche, you know, that little ditch, or I don't know what to call it, ravine. I don't know what it is, that she often walks home. She often walks home like up that slope. There's a little avalanche that comes down through there, and she, you know,
she didn't know, but
she could have died, like getting swept away by that, getting trapped under the snow perhaps, and like, I don't know, suffocating, or just getting like really messed up, like bones broken.
I think she will get carried away by the avalanche, and maybe die because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, when that was in episode 12, but I can't remember. I don't think she was doing anything wrong, actually. So I don't know if that was a consequence of anything. She was coming home from the sled race, but I don't know if her grandfather told her not to go.
All right. See, because at that time they were doing the race, which they're not supposed to do that.
Did grandfather say like don't go out? I don't really remember that.
No. He didn't say anything of that sort. But there is another instance where she decide to hide Yuki. In her shed without telling anyone.
Right. Yeah. She even tells Peter, just go home early before my grandfather gets back. She just wants Peter like out of the picture so she can save this goat.
That's right, and that got Peter in trouble, big trouble actually.
Yeah.
So that was her fault, and I think she need to realize that as well.
I mean, it's important to remember that she's like 5 or 6 years old.
That's right.
So all this, I mean, even though she's a smart girl, all this behavior from her is like, it's totally natural. She's...
Yep, that's right. As I agree.
she's like turning into she's learning, and she's becoming like starting to become her own person, starting to become like, you know, more of a human being. Um, you know, it's fun. It's fun to watch, but it
Yeah.
is difficult at times because, like, as an adult watching a child behave, you perhaps you think, you know, like how they ought to be acting, like what's best for them. But of
Yeah.
course, the child doesn't see it that way. Um,
But that also make the show feel uh real feel real to me actually.
yeah, I agree. That's I mean the it's hard to talk about because I don't know. I mean, perhaps it is because the show presents such an authentic like portrait of childhood, such a complicated one, that it's difficult to talk about it in the way that you would talk about another TV show doing it, because
Yep.
perhaps in another TV show it would be a lot more rigid, like
Mhm.
for example, a lot of the really dangerous situations that Heidi puts herself in, the life-threatening situations even,
Yep.
those moments of danger and peril will be very intense for just a short time, and then after that, life just returns to normal. It isn't like a setup for a lesson of the week or anything, and you would expect
That's right.
in a television program that the climax would be perhaps like more attention would be paid to it. There would be perhaps a lesson learned, or um, the tension would be drawn out a little more. But like the moment when the wind like blows her off the top of that hill, and she tumbles down, and Yosef saves her. Like, she after that they just go home, and she doesn't discuss it with her grandfather or anything.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
think that the show gloss over that a bit?
that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like it glossed over it, but
Mm.
I don't know if it's appropriate to use that phrase, because
Yep.
it feels real. Like, if a little girl who were granted that measure of freedom by her guardian were to experience that, um, she she probably wouldn't be like very eager to tell her grandfather about it when she got back. She'd probably hide it.
Y- Yeah. I can see that. You know, I can see like if the show go into that route of, you know, like grandpa finding out and telling her not doing that again, it the show can be too preachy, and that doesn't do anyone good. It's safe
Too
for
peachy,
maybe for children. Preachy,
peachy.
preachy.
I can hear you. I'm just talking about like the bird.
Yep. No, preachy.
Yeah, I
It's
got
more
you.
like, yep.
That just
So
reminded me of the
yeah,
bird, Peachy. That's why why I said that.
all right.
Yeah,
Uh,
it
so
risks being heavy-handed. Yeah.
I don't want the show to go that as either. So, but I do want some of these, you know, like some of her action be acknowledged, and, you know, be more, you know, like she learned some lesson out of that.
Yeah, I mean, I have the same impulse. Like, I wish that at the very least, I wish that Peter had, like, you know, maybe gotten a little bit angry with her, um,
Yep.
and she could have, by observing his anger, maybe she would have understood like what she did was really bad. Um, but I don't know. Like, I kind of feel as though my like the reason I feel that way is maybe because I've been conditioned to feel that way. Perhaps by other media that, you know, stars kids, where they have to learn a lesson. You know, maybe that's not fair of
Yep.
me to expect that. Or putting aside the issue of
Right.
fairness, maybe that's just a response that I have, but doesn't necessarily need to be there. You know, the show doesn't need to adhere to that.
Yep. Yep.
It's an interesting topic because you know, maybe it's also owing in part to the fact that Heidi is like 45 years old or something. How old is the show? It's like 45 years old. Comes from a different time and a different place for me. So
that's right. Yep. So throughout these 5 episodes, we actually start to see more of the villagers, some of other characters outside of of her, the grandpa and Peter.
yeah, there's the boy.
Uh,
Yeah, episode 12 is notable for that, especially because it's the closest that Heidi has come to the village so far.
Yep.
At the bottom of close to the bottom of the hill in the sled race.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, the show hasn't forgotten that the village exists. You know, eventually she's going to be. You know, she's going to really want to go down there the same way that she did for Peter's grandma. How she always wants to visit her.
That's right.
It'll eventually become that way for the village. You know,
And,
maybe she'll want to go to school or make friends or what have you.
Yep, that's a good development if they decide to do that. I also noticed that in this last 5 episodes we got like maybe a year worth going because we see like many seasons coming and goes. We see winter, we see spring, and I think we see like the end of autumn at the end of episode 15.
Right. Yeah, winter's going to come back around soon. So it's true. We have gone through a full year. Kind of surprised that we didn't get like a birthday scene, Heidi's birthday.
Because she doesn't have a birthday, I suppose.
Was that referenced at all in the first episode when
No.
she's dropped off? Like, do we know? Does Heidi know when her birthday is?
They haven't mentioned anything about that, so I would take that as a no. She doesn't. Yeah, they didn't mention anything about that at all.
Well, she's a year older at least. She's learning and experimenting.
Wiser.
I don't know about that.
We actually see another a goat from another village.
Yeah, I had a hard time with that scene.
Yeah, well,
how like the guy, like how he beat up on Peter and like flung Heidi to the ground. I kind of got the sense that like these are not highly educated people.
Oh right.
They're just kind of like obeying their impulses, and
yeah,
you know,
but
if they have an issue with somebody, they're just gonna be like, you know, and the villagers are like that too. Oh, that the uncle up on the mountain. Oh, he's crazy. That guy's crazy. They just don't have a lot of control over themselves.
Yeah. Well, the story take place is like some very old village, from from the old era. So I can understand that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the job of a goat herd is probably not given to the strongest members of a society.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Peter, like a 10-year-old or 11-year-old boy, is the one who does it for his village. So this older looking dude with his like he has a really weird moppy haircut that makes him look kind of deranged. So yeah, I don't know. He's probably not the brightest bulb. But I was frightened for the kids in that scene. The show does not pull its punches. Like, you don't get the sense that the characters have main character immunity or any sort of plot armor. Like the scene where Heidi is. I mean, yeah, they are the main characters. And it's a show about children. What?
I mean, we do know that the dog gonna come by.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. We
So
see him because it rains, right? And the dog
yep,
is like, oh well, better go up there.
yep,
Um, yeah, we know the dog is around, but it's not as though the dog bursts in as soon as the guy starts getting aggressive with them. Like they get
mm,
some punches in, and I was afraid. I was like, what is going to happen here? And Heidi has to threaten him. Like there's a my dog is over there, and he's gonna come get you. He's really big. She's saying this
yep. He's
as she's
scary.
crying. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
And then episode
That's right.
14 as well, like when she's hanging on to that little plant on the edge of the thing,
Mm,
on the edge of the cliff, and you can her arms are shaking. You can see that,
yep.
like, when she fell, when she and Peter fell, I let out a gasp. I couldn't believe it. Um, and then the dog saves them. I was like, I got really emotional. Um,
All right. Uh, Cliffhanger. But Joseph was really cool. Like he used his whole body in order to
yeah,
uh protect.
Joseph is best
It's
dog.
I know, and you see at the end where he jumps,
Yeah,
he
he
jumped really
he
high.
yeah, he does. Yeah, for a lazy
Like
old dog who sleeps all day. Perhaps not the most believable like bit of physical animation the show has
yep,
done, but he enjoys playing. Um,
yep.
when everyone else is playing, he will join in.
Mm-hmm. All right, and the last two episodes they focus on Yuki, the goat who doesn't produce enough milk,
Right.
and how they attempt to like give her the herbs or the good plant out there in order to make a more quality milk.
Hmm.
I think that's a good strategy that Hedy grandpa told her.
No, it's
To do.
Peter.
Is that Peter?
Yeah,
All right.
Peter. I mean, the
Yeah,
the
he did
order
that
of
first.
the order of events, like I can't remember. I know Peter was first. Like he came up with the idea and he started climbing up and grabbing those the little herbs, the aromatic herbs that
Yep.
grow in the shade. He
Yep.
started
Yep.
doing that right away, like as soon as he saw how upset Heidi
Yep.
was. Um,
Hmm.
and then her grandfather was like, I can't remember whether she told him about that or whether he just had the same idea, but in any case, Peter stepped it up in this episode.
Yep.
Like he was a good dude. Like even in the sled race when they start to take the lead and Heidi's like, why we're winning. uh
Yep.
that the little noise that Japanese people make when they're excited, especially kids, like why. um
Yep.
she starts celebrating, and as a result, they fall off the sled and they lose. And Peter,
Mm.
I'm sure he hated to lose to those boys, because
Yep.
this is not the first time that he's been teased for
Yep.
hanging out with Heidi. But he doesn't get upset with her or anything. He runs back to see if she's okay. She
Hmm.
apologizes, and that's the end of it. You know,
Yep.
I was impressed by that.
That's right. I just think that Peter usually got jealous when Hedy doesn't really when Hedy care about other things other than himself, and he tend to eat a bit too much. But apart from that, he really nice.
Yeah. Uh,
So at least he consistent.
yeah. He is consistent. He doesn't change too much, I suppose. He is also the sort
Yeah.
of character who's just driven by, like, oh, I'm hungry now, or oh, it's
Let's sleep.
yeah, it's time to go home. Let's go. Um, but he does come up with a plan to save Yuki, and
Yep.
he wears the little flower necklace that Heidi makes for him, and
Yep.
Even though
Yep.
you can
Yep.
clearly see that he's reluctant too. Like, and the crazy goat herd who gets in a fight with him makes fun of him for it.
Yep.
But he does wear it, probably because he sees how important it is to Heidi. She's so excited about it.
That's right. So yeah, that all ends well, I suppose. The the goat was safe.
Yep.
Everyone happy. Everyone changed for a little better because of her.
Yeah,
Uh,
that I don't know. Like the
I
grandfather even says, "Oh, he couldn't win against Heidi." She persuaded
Yep.
him, and that is the idea. You get that sense when you're watching, but I don't feel as though
They are
Heidi
changing
is.
a lot.
Well, I guess what I'm trying to express is that I don't feel as though Heidi is like totally at the center of everything. You know,
Mm.
it's not as though the show is going too hard on the idea that Heidi is like a miracle girl who changes the lives of everyone around her. Like the shonen anime sort of syndrome where the main character is like so awesome that all the he makes friends with all the villains and stuff.
All
We're
right.
we're not on
I
that level.
I tend to agree on what you say. I tend to agree on that, except for her with Peter Grandma because she shine a light upon her.
The golden light of sunset shines in the heart
Yeah,
of her grandmother. Yeah.
that's right. Except from that part, yeah, I do think that she stand out in a believable way. So she act like a child, and her influence to other is in a believable way. She not going to try. She not going to like change people attitude, but because of her earnestness that make people think and reflect themselves as well. So yeah, I think this is the angle that I really like to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's satisfying.
Yep.
It's nice
So
it's a nice
yep.
show.
So I I don't really expect like what coming next for Heidi, but you bet that I'm waiting for to watch the next 5 episodes.
She's still got to learn to read. That book did not show up. The prayer book.
That's right. Maybe
That'll
maybe
come
it
up
was
eventually.
lost. Yeah. And the girl we see in the poster hadn't shown up yet.
Yep, that's true. This this episode this little batch of episodes, and it extends a little bit into the past as well, have been mostly about her connection to the natural world. Like the
Right.
little area under the tree, the storm tree where she would feed the animals hay and all that. She stopped the hunters from
Mm-hmm.
killing a fawn. She wants to save the
Yep.
goat, etc. So it's
Yep.
mostly about her, man versus nature, I guess. I shouldn't put it in those terms really. It's about just her relationship with nature.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
But as time goes on, she is going to want her social needs
Oh.
are going to eclipse that.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
So we're headed in that direction, I assume.
All right. I just remember the my favorite moment out of the all 5 episodes, and that's the one that have to do with Joseph. When he
Which one?
when when he see like the early flowers that
Yeah.
uh, that signal the start of spring. He tried to like clean up all these all the ice around the flower, and he accidentally plucked off the flower as well.
Yeah.
And I think the animation were really nice.
Yeah. And we got the music, his Joseph's theme. Don't.
There you go. And
Yeah, and he it's true. The hepatica, I think the flower was called, although not in Japanese. It has some other Japanese name. But
Yep.
yeah, he decides to like pull it out. He puts it in his mouth. He carries it over, and he plays with it. You know,
Yep.
I really did enjoy that scene because
Yep.
he like you can tell he, given the way that Heidi acted about the flower, Joseph
Yep.
understands there's some significance to it.
Yep.
You know, who knows how he processes things being a dog, but he was impacted enough, I guess, by Heidi's excitement that he decided to brush away some of the snow.
I
And
really love the
he
way
made a
that.
clumsy mistake, but it was
Yep.
okay.
And I really love the way that he doesn't, because his face doesn't express any emotions, so it just looks so powerful.
Well, his face always expresses the same emotion, which is tiredness.
Yep. 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 The old dog.
Yeah,
All right.
he's a good dog.
Yeah, he's a good dog. All right. Do you have any other note on Hades? Or like any closing thought?
Nope. Just I hope that Heidi doesn't end up accidentally killing herself.
No. No.
I mean, she's not a cautious individual.
Uh,
She's
we
gonna be
have
fine, but
we have 55 episodes, so that should be all right. The show can end before that.
yeah, she's
Before.
you know she's gonna be fine. She's gonna be safe.
Yep.
But I wish that she would just be a little more careful.
More cautious. Yeah, I agree. If I being grandpa on that situation, I gonna make sure that she can be safe all the time. So I wouldn't let her to go with Peter in the morning, like every day.
Yeah, but he does want Heidi to like there.
Experience, right?
Yeah, he wants her to go out and learn on her own.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't. I can't really get behind that.
Well,
Like,
I can get behind that, but to the extent that I can know for sure that she be safe.
yeah, I would have to accompany her. Like, if I were her grandfather, in order for her to go up the mountain, I would say you can't go without me.
Yeah. Well, but but
But
you do have a.
that's not his philosophy. You know,
Yep.
he
That's right.
relies on Peter to keep her safe, and he relies on Heidi to keep herself
Joseph.
safe.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Joseph
And
too.
Joseph as well. So
Uh,
yep.
I mean, I can understand his feelings, like wanting his
Mhm.
granddaughter to experience and to learn on her own. Um, I couldn't do it.
Yep. All right.
That's it.
All right. So we still have next week of the podcast before we will take a week off in 2 weeks.
Yeah. And then we'll be
Uh,
back.
Yeah, and then we will be back for more.
Yep.
So see you guys in next week, I guess.
Take care, everybody. Don't go climbing any cliffs.
That's right.
Bye.
Or bring a dog like Joseph with you.
Yeah, at the very least, be sure you got some kind of safety system.
Right. The dog.
Stay safe.
All right. See you next week.
Bye bye.